Hey scrapbookers, this is Tricia at Club Scrap, and today my goal is to show you how to save a lot of time, to make better use of your supplies with something that we have as a member benefit here at Club Scrap, and we have our monthly page formula. It tells you exactly what you need to gather in order to create this page exactly as you see it. Now to help me with this, I have an accordion pocket file, and this is a little workshop that I developed where you make this yourself out of 3 sheets of 12 by 12 heavy duty paper, some adhesive and some binder clips to help you in the process. And then the lip, this 2-inch area right here, is secured in place underneath the base of my trimmer so that I can organize the pieces that go into each page very easily. And then based on this gather list, I literally went into my warehouse and I selected some fun color combinations. And for my example today, I'll be using this papers from my surprise collection. So I have one 12 by 12 print, I have another 12 by 12 plain, and another 12 by 12 plain that will be trimmed, and then I have 2 12 by 12 blues that I'm going to be using for the base of my double page spread. And I'll show you where we're headed. So this is the layout that I made that was inspired by my page formula. And I've done it in several other color combinations from our Adirondacks kit. Might be kind of hard to see all of this. It's a lot. We have cherry blossoms. We have vintage botany and Scandinavia. So all these different styles completed these layouts for me. I cut every single set of papers the same exact way, and yet I've got all these wonderful different looks, and all I have left to do is finish those with some pictures. We'll start out with this piece with the word cheers on it. I'm going to place it into the trimmer so the word cheers is in the upper right corner. And I'll trim this at 7 inches. So all I have to do is find 7, stabilize by pushing down on this clear bar, and slice. That one's done. We'll set this aside. We're going to use this in the first side of the layout, and then the smaller piece on the second side. The next piece we'll cut is this 12 by 12 pink plain, and I'm just following along with the written instructions right in the diagram for step 2, trim paper B. Okay, so the first number here is 11.5. So make sure you have 11.5. The most common error here would be to go to 10.5. All right, 11.5. And then 10 3/4. So I'm creating tiny little pieces and letting those pieces pile up to the right of the blade. And 6. Now take this 6-inch piece, rotate it horizontally, and cut it 8 and 4. 8 first, and then 4. Now one of these pieces will be used in the first layout, so I'll just put that in my first pocket. The other 2 pieces are used in the second layout, so I'll put those in the second pocket. Okay, now we'll take this wide piece that we have that's still 12 inches, and we'll cut it horizontally at 5 1/4, and then rotate this piece so it's now vertical and cut at 3 3/4. So you'll take this piece and put it in the second pocket, and then we have this tiny little narrow strip, first pocket, and we have this large piece. It's I believe 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. This will go in the first pocket. Then you have 2 narrow strips. I like to call these paper ribbons. The wide one will go in the first pocket, and the skinny one goes in the second one. Now normally I'm using this accordion pocket file to make 8 layouts at a time. That really helps me stay organized, but it even works for a project like this. Now I'm going to take the final piece. This is paper C, and it's green, and we'll just go ahead and make all of our cuts, letting them pile up as they land. And the first cut's at 11 inches, and then 10 1/4, 8, and 4 1/4. Rotate this piece so it's horizontal, and cut at 6 1/4, and file this in the first pocket. This one will go in the second pocket. Now we're going to cut this piece horizontally at 2 numbers here. The first one's 11.5, and then 5 3/4. File both of these pieces, which are the same size, in the second pocket. Now, if you don't have a pocket, just put it on a pile. This piece we're going to trim horizontally into equal parts. We'll cut it 9, 6, and 3. And file 3 of them in the first pocket and 1 of them in the second pocket. We have 2 narrow strips. Put the wide one in pocket 1 and the narrow one in pocket 2. This, my friends, is a scrap. So in the making of this entire layout, this is the only piece of paper that you don't really need to use, but I'm sure you could probably find a home for it if you wanted to, maybe as a little caption prompt or something, but this is it. There's nothing wasted. And I'll take my 2 base papers. We'll just lay these out one at a time. So to begin, I'm going to place my print across the top of this page. Now, my original inspiration for the sketch had the print going this way, but of course, because of the print being what it is, I'm making the executive decision to rotate it. And that's the joy of these layouts. They're just formulas. They're just to get the ball rolling, and then you can go ahead and take it any direction you want. Now, I'm going to remove everything from pocket 1 because that is everything I need to complete this half of the layout. And I usually just try to build it from the bottom up. So I'm going to begin by adding this nested border strip here. And I'm not adhering anything. I'm simply dry fitting. And then I'll grab this larger pink piece. And then there should be a green that will fit right on top of that, and a pink right on top of that. So everything cleverly nests. So when I'm making this layout, my very favorite picture is going to go right there. And then I can line up these 3 smaller pieces to supplement this photo. And then here will be, I'm just going to relocate this piece here, an area for you to write a title or add an embellishment. Okay, then I'll just slide the other base paper up to the top. Take the contents out of the second pocket, and I'll begin also with my 5x7. I'm going to balance this by putting in the lower right corner, and then I've got this nested border strip. Once again, I've sort of changed the layout of this a little bit to, I've modified it because I went with what my artwork inspired me to do, and that I encourage you to do the same thing. You have 2 vertical photo mats here. Oops, this one goes down here, and they'll buddy up with 2 4x6s perfectly. And this will go here, and I'm going to place this right here. And now I'm ready to adhere this, all of the pieces, and then I will go back and add my pictures. I wanted to give you a few tips for when you are adhering, because we can save both a lot of time and make everything look beautiful as we go. So usually anything that nests together, we will go ahead and nest it. I'm using my adhesive transfer gun, or ATG, and that really helps me save a lot of time. And then I'll nest these pieces together. Now I will attach this. Because it's such a large piece, when I adhere this to my page, it's going to be pretty easy to make sure I have it perfectly level. But my rusty, trusty, very well-loved grid ruler helps me out with this completion phase a lot. And it really helps me make sure those pieces are attached in a level way. So if I just rest one of the straight edges, straight lines on my ruler with the edge of the base layout, and I have adhesive on this, I'll just kind of hold down here and rest this up against the edge, and now I know that this paper is perfectly level. I have a tendency to adhere things downhill, and this really prevents that from happening. I'm going to do the same thing when I attach my nested border strip. I'm going to do that about maybe 1.25 inches up from the bottom edge of this white piece. So I'll apply adhesive. Make sure the line of the ruler is level with the edge of that white piece of paper, and then rest this against the edge of the ruler and then press down. That way I know, again, this is not tilting downward as is my tendency. Next I can attach my nested photo mat. Same thing here. I could literally take this if I wanted a 1/2 inch from the edge of the layout and a 1/2 inch up from the bottom of this white piece. I know it's exactly perfectly placed. Now I can do the same thing here. I'm going to start up by adhering my little strip. Is it level with the page? I know for sure it will be. And then I can attach my 3 pieces here. Guess what I'm going to use to help me make sure they're equally spaced? It's going to be about 1.5 inches from the bottom. I can just apply adhesive to all of these. And so once I get my ruler in place, I'm going to go about 1/4 inch from the edge and about 1/8 inch apart. Oh, that looks so nice. Now you can do the same thing for the other half of the layout. Just follow those steps, nesting everything and using your ruler to keep things straight. And then the final step would be to add your pictures, and I want to give you a tip about that. I don't have my layouts done yet, but they will be. And to do that, I'm going to be using my other favorite tool, my 8x8 grid ruler. And so when I'm finishing my layouts, I need to know what size I need to trim my photo so it fits perfectly into that spot. So I'll take my 8x8 ruler and hover it over the mat, and I'm going to get a reading, both measurements at the same exact time on this green, and it measures 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And because I do this a lot, I know exactly what size photo I need to make, but my mat is 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. I'll subtract 1/4 inch from each of those measurements, and now I have 3 1/2 by 5 1/2. That's the size my photo needs to be to fit perfectly into this spot. And I can do that for all of the pieces. Let me just give you an example of how I would use it then. Let's say I need to have, this is a horizontal photo, but it applies the same. I can actually take my 8x8 grid ruler and hover it over my picture. And if I have to trim my photo to 3 1/2 by 5 1/2, am I going to remove anybody's face? Well, I can see 3 1/2 takes me right about there. I'll just remove my double chin. And then 5 1/2 takes me over here, and I'm still good on the left and right edges of this picture. So this is a wonderful tool, and I always use this when I'm finishing my layouts, or if I want to add width to my 3x14 ruler. For example, if I want to measure 6 inches in from the left edge, this is only a 3-inch ruler, I can piggyback those distances to make sure I'm level and I'm a certain number of inches away from an edge of something. So I use these rulers in tandem to help me make beautiful pages efficiently. I hope you enjoy learning about these page formulas and that you'll use them wisely so you can eliminate paper from your stash and hopefully become a Club Scrap Page Kit member so I can help you complete all of your layouts every month without any waste of time or materials.